Not always, but essentially a group of high-power celebrities who have their own reasons for not trusting the press. And I think that hacked off from people who want state regulation to bear in mind is if state regulation of the press that was brought in, it wouldn't just affect the tabloids, it'd affect broadsheets as well.
Well, you've just got to say that facts like the MP's expenses scandal, if state regulation was in place, would that story have come out? You know, that's the thing that has to be said. Well, you know what, we've gone for a few moments, we're going to go for a few more. Yep, folks, it's the end of the year, so it could be the end of the universe after a joke that's this bad. I'm getting tongue-tied thinking about how bad this joke's going to be. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dale Harris with
Joke of Christmas.
Jeez Louise, wow, that's poor. Dale, go on. We're all in a good mood, so go on, ruin it.
Well, this is a Christmas classic.
Is it top notch?
Is it a perler of a joke?
Oh, I don't think it's a schoolboy error. Well, here we go.
Oh no,
Why was Santa's little helper feeling depressed? He had low self-esteem.
Wow. You know the worst thing is, Dale's just got his phone out, reading it off the phone. You know,
if you'd have made that up yourself, right, that might have been it. But you've actually taken the time to pay for it. And you know what? This one's the best. So I don't know what the other jokes.
I wanted a creme de la creme of Christmas joke.
So why did you say that one, man?
It's a classic. I saw a few chuckles, yeah, here and there. I saw a few chuckles.
Well, the Chuckle Brothers weren't here, mate. I don't know what you're on about.
In all seriousness, I think for the final part of the podcast, we should look ahead to what's going to happen in 2013. Maybe highlights of 2013. If you haven't got one in mind, I could start off. If you want, Tom, you look like you got one in mind.
I've got one right in my head. Well, I've got two actually, because 2013. It's a year. I'm greedy, and I'm a full ham. It really is a case of Royal Rumble 2013. The Rock versus CM Punk.
Hopefully,
The Rock will probably win, but do you know what I'm looking forward to? The Rock versus John Cena 2, which might happen at WrestleMania 29. Hopefully not. But do you know what? I actually think I'm going to make a prediction now. Tom's tip of the year, that it will be The Rock against CM Punk against John Cena WrestleMania 29. And just very quickly, Celtic in the next round of the Champions League. But that's a massive achievement in my opinion in terms of the money Celtic have spent compared to all the other teams in the Champions League. Dale, what are your thoughts on mine? But also, what's your highlights, Dale?
Wow. Celtic have to be given credit. They spent $4 million on Georgios Samaras, which is
free. In all fairness, it was $1 million up front, $2 million added on, and still not paid $1 million of that. So it's only $2 million as of now. And his goals basically did get Celtic Champions League football past Christmas. But go on.
Well, obviously, there's more of an issue of the SPL on top of that, but let's not go into that now. That could take up a whole podcast.
Well, it already has, actually. I actually believe we did one in March. We did, about the SPL, when Rangers was still in it, but go on down.
Well, in regards to CM Punk, The Rock, I don't think The Rock should win, and he's probably my favourite of all time. I don't think he should win because he's a part-time wrestler. So why not give one of the young up-and-comers the chance to beat Punk?
Maybe a Dolph Ziggler.
Well, exactly. The momentum it could give them. I just think, that's what annoyed me when the Undertaker's faced lots of Triple H. It should be the younger guys and, give them that momentum because The Rock's going to be gone in like a couple of months. I mean, Jack, I don't know what your feelings are on The Rock. I mean, you've said before that you're a big fan of his, and
well, I haven't. But I take your point about youth. They should give the youth a chance, and I imagine it would be a great spectacle. But there seems to be big problems within the WWE with regards to who they choose for their big fights.
So, Dal, what's your highlight of 2013? Or are you greedy as well with 2? Or maybe just 1?
Well, the main one at the minute, well, you could say 2, because I believe there'll be 2 in the same year, is the 2013 Ashes Test Series between England and Australia. 5 on being in England, and I believe in the winter they'll be playing in Australia due to not wanting to clash with the World Cup, because in the 2011 World Cup, England had been touring Australia from October until February-March time, and a month or so later they're playing the World Cup, so they've basically been on tour for 6 months and they haven't had a break, which is one of the factors why they've done so poorly in the World Cup. But you know, the Ashes series for me, people don't like cricket, don't get the Ashes and go, what's it all about? But I'm like, yeah, it's such a fantastic competitive as in friendly rivalry, but it does mean so much to both teams. I think it's fantastic, and it's so unpredictable. What if anyone says, "Oh, Test cricket's boring"? Watch the 2005 Ashes series. It changed nearly every day.
The one thing I will say, when you say about a rivalry and friendly fans, is you look at the atmosphere between the England and Australian fans during Ashes matches. That's what you call banter.
Yeah,
that's what you call banter.
Nothing personal.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go over the line. It's not personal. It's a bit of fun. And Jack, what are your thoughts on the Ashes series coming up?
I think that for once we're looking at a period of time where we realistically can go into an Ashes series in Australia and think, do you know what? We can have them. We can take the Aussies.
What about there is a Test series before that where we face Australia at home. That is the next Ashes series. I know there is one in the winter because they're playing straight away basically. Which is another question. Do you think it's an Ashes overload?
Yes, it is. I think World Cricket needs to look at its schedule and needs to change it around a bit, because you just can't have that much Ashes cricket in that short space of time.
Well, here's a question for both of you here. I know I think it's going to win, especially with home advantage. Who do you see out the twos winning? Because they both had their problems in 2012.
Yeah, I think the one in England, I think, is England's full stop, because I think while Australia, you know, they have got some foot players on form, you know, they do struggle in England. But I think when it goes to Australia, it's going to be very nitty-gritty as to who wins. And you know what, I know he hasn't been on big form, but I think the retirement of Ricky Ponting could be a bit of a difference, because he was a very influential guy in the dressing room.
I was just going to mention that. I think, like I say, his runs haven't been coming, but you can't substitute experience. And
the fact that all these Australian cricketers have said what an inspiration he was in the dressing room after match.
Well, Michael Clarke broke down. Yeah, broke down tears after the announcement. So, Jack, who do you think is going to win both series?
I think England will win the home series 3-1. And I think we will win the series in Australia as well. I don't think it'll be as close, because I think with the atmosphere and everything, and just the fact that we haven't got home backing, obviously. But then again, if you look at the last time England played in Australia, it was practically like a home game anyway. From how many English fans were there?
Yeah, but just with a bit of added warmth.
But what you say about Ricky Ponting's runs trying up? I mean, look at Michael Clarke. He's broken the record for how many double centuries scored in a year. So if he's still on in that kind of form for when the Ashes come round, then realistically he could become one of the great Australian batsmen.
Well, Michael Clarke and Alistair Cook have really picked up form since getting the captaincies full time. The question is with Clarke, though. I'll leave it. The question is with Clarke. Ponting's form was great, even though he was captain, but some of his decision making was not. Will Clarke fall into that trap?
Well, that's an open question, and just due to the time that we've got, that's going to be a question just for you, the listener. We've got our opinion, but Jack, what's your highlight of 2013? That moment where you're going to get out of bed and you're going to go, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be the Africa Cup of Nations 2013. That is... I like African football. I know a lot of people have the criticisms of it, but I think it's a great tournament, the Africa Cup of Nations. It's got something different from the Euros. It's got that added...
Yeah, African teams for a start.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it? But I think it's a shame that they don't have it on BBC Three anymore, because a lot of people did watch the Africa Cup of Nations.
Is this Ivory Coast year? Finally?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think the only thing which might be a bit of a disappointment is, obviously, with it being in South Africa, the host nation's current form has been fairly poor. I mean, only recently they couldn't beat Lesotho at home.
But I think I might be wrong saying this, but Stephen Pienaar's retired, hasn't he, from international football? I thought he was a massive player for South Africa, just the way he could control games for the. So I think they are missing a few of them stars who have retired.
And can they pick themselves up from? You get the initial high of hosting a World Cup, I'd imagine, and maybe the down part of it, and they didn't quite manage to get out of their group in the end after a good effort. So can they sustain the momentum from the World Cup, do you think?
Well, I would say that since the World Cup, South Africa's got worse, really, in terms of football. So I think they need to pick themselves back up again from that World. It has kind of got, football has kind of gone on a downward curve since, but they will have home advantage. So who's to say that they're not dark horses to win it?
Right. Well, you know what. Our highlights have been said for 2012, and also what we're looking forward to for 2013. Well, we're nearly a year. It's nearly our year anniversary, guys. We made it. We made it. And you know what? What I've got to say is, what is just a very quick one-word answer? Well, maybe a few words, but your favourite issue that we've discussed throughout the year. I'm going to say mine, the SPL. Go on, between you two now.
I'd say Sports Personality of the Year.
I'd say mental health in sport.
Right, well, that's it. The show's at an end. And, well, thank you so much for listening to Blah De Blah. It's been a real honour. We will be back for 2013, don't worry. We're not getting our pipe and slippers out just yet for our retirement. Well, Jack might, but that in the point.
That's a few years down the line.
Anyway,
I've got the pipe, yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to Blah De Blah with me, Tom Feeney.
Me, Dale Harris.
And me, Jack Elliott.
Thank you for listening to Blah
D.
Blah.
Merry Christmas.
And a happy and prosperous New Year.